think finally as well, I'm comfortable that we sound like Biffy Clyro. You find a sound and then it's suddenly like, let's make sure we don't sound like that. And actually having an identity as a band is actually quite a powerful thing. So there's a few little callbacks to some earlier records on this as well. And the albums are an artistic statement, but we live and breathe as a band on stage. So it's I think it's natural that we would consider that. And I guess I'm always aware that I'm going to need to sing at the top of my voice, so which isn't great when you're doing a vocal at 11 a.m. in the morning, but it's like, this is going to make perfect sense in 6 months' time.
Absolute Radio, welcome. Biffy Clyro, you're back. Hello.
Hello, Danielle.
How you doing? Nice to see
Really
you
well,
again.
thank you.
We're really pleased to be here.
Early in the morning. Well, it's not that early.
Early in the
We're
morning.
doing well.
Anything
We're
before
doing well.
midday is really early
It's
in
the
the
middle.
morning.
It's the middle of the night, basically.
I know, requires
Passport
coffee.
time.
It does require coffee.
It does. 30th year as a band this year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny. Someone said that the other week, and that hadn't dawned on us, and that makes us sound incredibly old. But yeah, 30 years. 30 years. We started our very first show. We skipped school and went and played a show on a Wednesday afternoon or a Wednesday evening under the name Screwfish.
Yeah.
And it was dynamite, and that was, little did we know, that was the start of our journey right there. So skip school, kids. I'm only joking.
That's
Don't
amazing.
skip school.
30 years. How much has changed, hasn't it, in those 3 decades?
And so many levels and every kind of facet of your life. Our lives have changed. The world's changed quite a lot. Some things have sort of stayed the same, but yeah, I wonder if every generation does that. Just at some point they go, everything's changed.
I think
But
we actually, the consistency of the three of us knowing each other for so long, I think that's been the kind of only constant, you know,
Yeah.
in our world, I guess, you know, because I mean the world is unrecognisable from the 90s when we started, you know, the concept of selling out. What is that? You know, I now feel foolish that I even knew that phrase. Give us your ad money right now. We need to survive as a band.
You want a reel? I'll give you a reel.
Yeah, okay, exactly. Exactly. You know it. You know it.
Well, we're going to talk about a new record for you, Cheek, which I don't think is in the English dictionary, is it?
No, it's not.
But this may be your
Oh,
legacy.
yeah. This will be our legacy.
This is it.
Finally.
This is it.
Future and Antique. Talk us through the concept.
I guess we've been a band for a long time. We spent a couple of years apart between the last couple of records. I went away and made some crazy metal with my buddies, which was great fun. But you know what? We needed a reset, and actually, I've never reflected over our career or my life, and I think we're all guilty of that. I think a lot of people in the modern world are. We're so conscious of what the next thing we're doing, you know, and never really kind of being present and being aware of good times when they're happening. So I went through a bunch of family pictures last year, and I just kind of started to kind of dwell in the moment, dwell in those memories, and realizing that good or bad memories that make us exactly who we are, not to be scared of them. So Futique is about trying to kind of cherish and savor every moment that we're going through just now, good or bad, because in 5-10 years we don't know what we'll be missing. You know, things like my example yesterday, I guess, which is a bit boring, was like the last time you phoned someone and someone else answered the phone, you know, and you were like, you know, you have a chat with someone that you're not even meant to chat to, and that's such a small thing from centuries ago. You know, little things like that. You just like the way you interact with people evolves every few years, and I just want to make sure that those interactions we have just now and the ways we do that, I can kind of make sure and acknowledge them as they're happening.
Yeah, and that was obviously a sort of group thought as well. You obviously spoke about that. And so it is that sort of mindfulness, living in the moment aspect, isn't it? But also I think that you touched upon in a few interviews I've read so far about how our memories are so sort of short term now, and how we filter out stuff, don't we? Sometimes things pop up in our feed to remind us what happened. But really it's trying to like imprint them on our brains a bit more so.
that's just trying to kind of appreciate what you have in life. You know, as we talk about, things change all the time, and it's kind of it's just accepting that a little bit, but also kind of going with it. You know, you can fight it a little bit, but I think it's best just to sort of go along with it. But just be present. Just be present in your life as you're doing it.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about your time at Hansa. The
Oh,
legendary
yeah.
Hansa studio in Berlin, right? David Bowie, Depeche Mode. I mean, the walls must feel quite special. When did you feel it when you walked in?
You definitely do feel it, yeah. There's been so many legends in that place, and the place has it looks like it's been heavily smoked in. It's got that colour to it, you know.
It does.
And it's a well lived in studio. It's not like a museum or anything. You feel that you can walk around and really get to grips with the place. But really lovely studio, lovely staff, great equipment. Great for making records.
Yeah, there's something that when you walk at like a place like Hansa, they've kept all the old keyboards and everything. So like, I think the studio engineer's been in there for like 40 or 50 years, and
It's
So
got a
the
lab coat.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. The stories are still there, you know, like you can tell. You just need to scratch the surface. You get a great Tangerine Dream story or something. But yes, the very last thing we did before the pandemic was a session, acoustic session in Hansa, and I think it kind of stayed in our minds during that whole time we were all kind of isolated away, and then when we started talking about this record, we've never made like a European record. Our last kind of 5 records we've done in California, which was our dream big, aim for the stars record, and this was a bit darker and just a bit kind of grittier. Some of the songs felt that way, so yeah, Hansa definitely fed into it, and the city of Berlin actually, which is a beautiful place. They've got really creative culture. People kind of are allowed to be whatever they want without that kind of societal pressure, and even the way they deal with their history and things. You know, the Berlin Wall still cuts a swathe through the whole city, and they don't ignore their history. They learn from it, and I just think we learned a lot from being in that city, you know, and just how to kind of be.
Powerful city,
yeah,
isn't it?
It really is.
Did you get an Airbnb or something in Kreuzberg?
We basically lived in a squat. And it was, like, believe it or not, we spent like 4 weeks in Kreuzberg and then like 3 weeks in Mitte, which is the centre of the city. And but yeah, our Airbnb cancelled 3 days before, so we ended up in this Airbnb. And honestly, it was like a crack den.
It really was.
It was mouldy. There was no windows. We were doing it as if we were in actually the birthday party in 1987 with Nick Cave, just living on speed or something like that. We don't endorse
have
any
any
drugs
speed,
taken. That was a different time period. But it was like that. We really were living the Kreuzberg life. You know, it was like we were slightly underground as well. It was awesome.
Ill. I think we got ill there.
slowly.
We did get ill. It was one of those. This has happened to us in a couple of albums. We've stayed in a couple of mouldy places, and it's only in the second or third week you start getting black lung. You know? And you're like, I don't know, my vocal's going to be great this week. You know?
Thinking back to those Californian
Yeah,
Hessian
no,
days,
where's the
thinking,
sun?
dream big again,
Where's
guys.
that golden glow?
The singles, A Little Love,
Yeah.
that we heard, when that sort of arrived, I was like, I can just instantly hear it on a big stage. I mean, you must be so used to writing for big stages now. That must be a thought process when you're
I think
writing
it's-
to a degree.
I think it's probably subconsciously in there now. You know, I try not. The reason we take gaps between some records is to try and find that inspiration. And you know yourself about finding inspiration, Danielle. You never quite know when it's going to strike. Sometimes you compile a bunch of ideas, and sometimes it all happens at once. But what was the question?
I said,
Subconsciously,
do you think about the sort of vastness of it? Because it's a huge sounding record, but it's also got these wonderful little delicacies that we'll dip into later. But it's got this still massive anthemic sound.
I think
that
at
you're-
some point in the studio, it suddenly hits us. Oh my goodness, that's right. We're making this for people to hear, and we're going to have to play these songs live, and that's both the most scary thought in the world and the most exciting thought in the world. So we try to sort of separate the live and the studio thing. We don't really restrict ourselves too much in the studio, because we know live's a different thing, but it does cross your mind. There's always that moment you're like, oh, that's right. Yeah, this is real.
I know. It's again, it's finding these new angles to approach it. You know, we know. I think finally as well, I'm comfortable that we sound like Biffy Clyro. You know, you find a sound and then it's suddenly like, let's make sure we don't sound like that. And actually having an identity as a band is actually quite a powerful thing. So so we kind of embraced a few. There's a few little callbacks to some earlier records on this as well. But yeah, it's hard to not. We live for the stage. You know, the albums are an artistic statement, but we live and breathe as a band on stage. So it's I think it's natural that we would consider that. And I guess I'm always aware that I'm going to need to sing at the top of my voice, so which isn't great when you're doing a vocal at 11 a.m. in the morning. But it's like, this is going to make perfect sense in 6 months' time.
And the videos have been brilliant of this campaign. A Little Love. I mean, there was a beautiful amount of sincerity, I thought, with that. But there must have been a few moments where
There's definitely some moments you have to burst out laughing because what you're doing is really quite obtuse.
It was ridiculous.
It was
But it
also
was-
really emotional.
It was
Yeah,
very
I bet it
emotional as
was,
well.
I
yeah.
was sort of like wiping a tear a couple of times. I think us being expressing ourselves in that way in front of so many people, it really felt intimate, and it was just it kind of hit me like a bolt. To be honest, I was like, oh my goodness, that felt amazing.
And then in the next one for hunting season, that looked loads of fun because you were literally doing a point of view video, right? Where you were wearing cameras on your heads. And the behind the scenes was as entertaining as the video itself because it was so interesting to see that. I mean, that looked really heavy.
It was really.
It was.
Yeah.
We ended up with
point-
fat necks.
At one point, Simon had a scene where he was starting on his back on the ground, and he had to stand up, and at points he couldn't. He was like, I don't have enough neck
I had like
strength to
4
get off the
kilograms of
ground."
weight in my neck, so I'm standing up, my head scraping across the floor as I'm trying to like topple over and get in my feet. But you know what? we've made so many videos now that like we'd really like a fresh challenge. So see to do that, and you know, it ended up looking absolutely dynamite. Oscar, who we've worked with, the director, and Forrester Black Company up in Glasgow, they're just an unbelievable company.
Yeah.
Everything we do with them just ends up in this kind of magic zone. And but yeah, they like to challenge us. I don't think we've had a fun video shoot with Oscar at all. So Oscar, come on, man, next one on the beach, Club Tropicana, please.
Musically in hunting season, there's a lot of gear changes, isn't there, in that one, between verse and chorus. And there's a really, really cool, gnarly nod to Rage in that, isn't there?
Yes.
There is. At
In
one
terms of
point, we might
baseline.
not have thanked you for making that comparison, but we're very happy to hear it now. It feels so much fun to play. It really feels like the heaviest thing we've ever done. So
I
thank you
know.
very much. That's very kind.
It's
of
that
you.
unison riff as well, because as James said, when I first brought in the riff, it was like, right, this is great, and then we're like, oh, it's a bit too much like Rage, and then we're like, yeah,
Yeah, no bad
that could
thing.
be a good thing. And yes, so it is
Yeah.
totally. I mean, we were lucky to see Rage back in the day, like the Barrowlands in Glasgow and things. I
Oh,
mean,
wow, yeah.
they changed their
amazing.
changed their lives in a really, really big way. So,
They nearly ended your life, did they not?
yeah, they're playing "Killing in the Name," and I jumped in the offbeat. Yeah, when the bit building up for the outro, it was like, oh yeah, you know, we all know the words, but it was like, you know, we're chanting, and then I went in the offbeat, and the whole crowd went the other way, and I just disappeared onto the floor, got trodden on.
Natural
Yes.
frontman. Natural
I know,
frontman.
yeah.
Yeah, he had it.
And the
He had
Barrowlands
it.
isn't the type of place
Attention-seeking
to be-
idiot already.
That's still got the floor right.
Such an amazing venue. It's got that history, the sprung
Yeah.
floor. It's like dancing on a trampoline. Amazing.
Some really, really amazing riffs on this record, but there's also some real surprises. Cue Glockenspiel.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
This is in True Believer, right?
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, wasn't expecting that, but I like that.
Been doing this for so long. I think part of our character and personality is to have these little moments of ridiculousness. You know, whether it's the heaviest riff we've got, and then it's got a glockenspiel. So we still, our mantra when we were making the record was "Let Biffy be Biffy." Our producer Jonathan Gilmore came up with that, and it allowed us to just embrace these eccentricities that perhaps we carry that maybe not all bands have. And as we always said, we take our music extremely serious, but we still want to be able to have a laugh, and
Yeah,
those
yeah.
little moments always make me chuckle. Make
Yeah.
us all chuckle.
I'd like to commend you on Woe Is Me, Wow Is You as a song title as well.
thank
because
you.
I like that as well. That really tickled me seeing that. That was
Brilliant,
amazing.
thank you.
So you are taking us out on the road. And I've been talking about this on air recently because we've been talking about the tour, but how nice to have it early January.
It's everyone's so
Isn't it?
depressed, stuck in the house.
Yeah.
Burst bags after Christmas.
I know.
So it's a great way to start the year, isn't it?
Book the
Really? So
tickets now and then it's all sorted.
Yeah, you're sorted.
Everyone's
You get
skint
something
after
to look
Christmas.
forward to.
Exactly.
in a cold January, it's brilliant.
To be honest,
Exactly.
that was actually part of it for us, because we thought about going out before Christmas, and we really wanted to just start the new year on like a front foot and just in a
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of joyous position where we're teaming it up. So we can't wait to see everyone out there. We're doing UK in January, I think.
Yeah.
Check your local. Go to your local ticket seller now. Start queuing. Remember, you used to queue for
I
tickets.
know.
Oh, I do. Do you guys get together over Christmas? Do you have like a Twixmas day?
It's
Not
been
for a
It's been
while.
a few years. It felt like for 7 years in a row we were gigging up until the
Right
28th
up
of December.
I know.
Just like scratching them. And that was an excuse for not buying presents anyway, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But it felt for a few years in a row that we stumbled in the door at Christmas time.
I know there was a couple of years where we got home on the 24th of
Yeah,
December,
yeah,
and
that's
it was like, I'll see you in a few weeks.
Aye.
Yeah. But no, the last few years, I guess, we were kind of apart for a couple of years, you know, doing different
Yeah.
things. And I know the boys see each other every Christmas, but I guess the last couple of years we kind of haven't. We all kind of spend it with our
Yeah.
individual families. But no, this will be really nice. It's you know, we always make a point of coming together in the new year, and I think that's so important. I think it'd be weird if we never saw each other in a January or something like that. But no, Christmas it's kind of the only time we get to switch off, I guess, a little
And
bit.
be at home a bit. And
But the Johnston Christmas family party used to be
We used to-
absolutely
we used to-
legendary.
all were welcome. All
Yeah.
were welcome.
Literally everyone was welcome, and everyone came.
Everyone turned up.
It would end up being like a 2-day affair, you know.
was.
Ben James's mum would make some beautiful food, like,
Yeah.
and
There's always quite a lively house.
there'd be 2 banoffee pies.
There'd be
Oh,
two
yeah,
banoffee
one
Two,
for
but
pies.
that's what
for
kind of
Darren.
level of party
Yeah.
we're talking about
It
here.
was legendary.
But yeah, when we used to jam, everyone used to jam. We used to just play
Yeah, that's
music,
good.
and
Yeah, we get away with murder.
we did get away with murder. I know.
Well, I tell you what, it's an absolute joy to have you back. It's
Thank
lovely
you,
to catch up
Danielle.
with you
Thank you so
again.
much. You too.
And as ever, you just keep pushing it even higher. And it's so nice to play on the radio. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much,
Lovely to see
Danielle.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.